All right, so we're over here in the shop area right now, and something we get this question a lot, and it comes into play with wiring and dash bezels, dash lenses, that sort of thing. Is what is a warning light dash, or also a common slang term is idiot lights, versus gauges? So obviously we're two different year models here. This is 64 to 66 Chevrolet. This is 69 to 72 Chevy and GMC. Now, this particular dash is a warning light dash. So what's the difference? Well, the big thing is, instead of having, obviously you got a speedometer, you got a fuel gauge, but instead of having an oil pressure gauge, you have an oil pressure light. Same thing goes with a generator or charging light versus a amp meter gauge, and in later years a voltmeter gauge. And then also you got the same thing, you don't have a temp gauge, you've got a temp light. That's the big difference. You think, well, okay, why is that important? Well, it comes into play. Now again, here 69 to 72, they did have a warning light dash, but it didn't have these four bottom gauges. It was just the big three, and it had your lights here in the center. Where this, you've got what they've now referred to as a battery, still an amp meter, temp gauge, you got oil pressure, and then this was an optional vacuum. Where that comes into play in wiring is GM wired the bulk plug that comes through the firewall and the engine harness and the front light harness differently for gauges versus warning lights. And we'll get a lot of people that they've replaced that dash with, say, a Dakota Digital or Classic Instruments or Auto Meter or whatever, but still how everything works together is important. We need to know what that car or truck was originally. And a lot of especially back you get into the 60s, a lot of those were warning light dashes. They just had the lights. Versus you got into the later 60s and 70s, it was pretty much an all gauge situation. You got into square bodies, those were gauges, period. Kind of warning lights really, they still had some warning lights, but that really didn't come into play as much. But so you always want to know when you're buying wiring, what was my car or truck originally? And like I said, you get into that, 65, especially in cars up, that's when it comes into play. You've got to know what you're doing, because you get the wrong wiring, things aren't going to work, and you've got it installed and it's not going to work. Well, you're buying more wiring because it's an installed electrical part. Nobody's going to take that back. So just know what the differences are. If you've got a question, if you ever have a question, number one, you can go to the Q&A section on our website. Maybe there's a response already there, that, or you put in a question yourself. Go to the specific item inquiry. That's more one-on-one with us, with just you privately. We'll answer your question, or pick up that phone, dial 479-787-5575, rings right into our sales department. They can answer your question there as well.